Welcome back, dear friends. So, thank you for joining with us again. This is the second session or second half of our online broadcast, which we telecast or broadcast every day here at the London Mindfulness Meditation Center. During this Friends Retreat, we have decided to reflect on the Dhamma from a book called Dhammapada. So after we go live at 6:30, we do Buddha Puja, we worship the Buddha, we then listen to some chanting or participate in the chanting, blessing everyone for good health, happiness and well-being, especially during this lockdown time. Even this broadcast is for you to engage with the religious observances from home, wherever you are, when the lockdown restrictions still apply. So the book we are reflecting is called, or the verses from the book that we're reflecting is called the Dhammapada. And if you are new, the Dhammapada has a collection of 423 verses. All of them are advice of the Buddha for monks, or even with reference to certain incidents, to people. But all in all, it is a great reference for our spiritual well-being, and it helps us a lot to slowly unpack and listen, learn a few things. So today we start with our 5th chapter, the Bala Vagga, or the Vagga, or the chapter on what we call fools. So here Bala it has lots of connotations. So the word meaning Bala is also about infancy. So the word Bala actually means infant as well. So we have to remember to understand that we are referring to fools, or ignorant people, rather than infants here. So young, unable to speak, or childish. So those we call Bala in Pali. So in this case we are talking about ignorant, or in terms of ignorance in moral senses. So it is sometimes referred to as with the word Puthajjana, or someone who is in continuously born in this worldling. Or sometimes we can also refer to foolishness, and if it is to an extreme, so the words we find in the text are like Andha or Andhabala. It's not just ignorant or silly, but complete stupidity. So Bala here is, again, just to reiterate, it's not about the age. Okay, so the first stanza goes as such: Digha jagaratu ratti, Dighang santasa yojanam, Digho balanang sangsaro, Saddhammang avijanatam. So Jagaratu here means the person who stays awake, or the person who cannot fall asleep, the wakeful. So there might be many reasons why a person might not fall asleep, but for that person, when that person cannot sleep, the night becomes very long. So Digha, so Rati means night. So if a person cannot fall asleep, every second becomes such, or every minute, every hour becomes such a long span of time. Dighang santasa yojanam. So santasa here is in terms of the tiredness, or weary person, a person who is really tired and cannot continue to walk sometimes. Even as here the yojana is about, it's a particular type of length in the Asian context, in literature. Let's say for a mile. So a person who is really tired, a mile can be really, really long. So trotting, it would be very difficult. Similarly, Digho balanang sangsaro. So sansara here is about the cycle of births, the continuity in the birth cycles. So we as Puthajjanas, as someone as a worldling will continue to be born again and again, and the goal or the aim is to achieve enlightenment. And when we achieve enlightenment, it means that we have stopped the cycle of births, which is the samsara. So for a person who is ignorant, who might not realize or understand the Dhamma, for that person, okay, Sadhamma would be in here case the teachings of the Buddha, or in most cases just the reality or the truth or the Buddha's words. Avijanatang, who does not know this truth or who would not try to understand. So jhana here is about knowledge. So a person, a foolish person, in this case, a person who has not developed wisdom. So a foolish person who actually, or ignorant person who has not developed the capacity to understand the truth, for that person, the cycle of birth will be very long. So the continuity of the cycle of birth will be so long that the person will always be entangled in the samsara. So, so it's quite interesting to see what sort of qualities or what sort of natures do we see in this person or the fool that we are talking about. And so sometimes it is about the nature of the mind. Obviously it's not about, because sometimes if we are not talking about IQ in itself here, we are talking about the intelligence is something quite different. Every person has a different intelligence, and that intelligence might take a person far differently. So intelligence is not wisdom. Okay, intelligence is not wisdom. Your education is not wisdom in Buddhism, or the qualifications that you have, your IQ. Yes, it is helpful to be able to understand something quickly, but that is not wisdom here. It can be, because the word buddhi, or means about the person who has understood, or so education can help you to understand certain things very differently. So being well educated will support you to develop wisdom. So to have wisdom, you need education, but education itself is not the type of wisdom that we are talking about. The panya here is a different type of wisdom we are talking about. So to come to that basic understanding, it's important to understand that sometimes an educated person can also be ignorant about so many things. So wisdom here is something that in Buddhism what we call is about the comprehension, or we call clear comprehension. In some references we find mindfulness as wisdom. The reference point, the sati is wisdom. In most cases, the light within you that can glow by understanding certain teachings of the Buddha. So that is wisdom. So a person who is perhaps bala, there are something we can look like someone who is impatient, who is intolerant, who develops rudeness frequently, who is always pursuing greed, anger, or always getting controlled by greed and anger. So you can see these people who actually are with those constant, being in constant influence, or being influenced constantly by those qualities or defilements or natures of the mind, can be seen as bala. So it is that sort of qualities that we are talking about here. It's not about that state of mind or the capacity, it's about the nature of the mind or the behavior patterns that we develop. So therefore it is important to actually sometimes observe human habit sometimes. So if someone is too, perhaps, using logic always, sometimes might also be too cunning. So from education wise, you use your perspectives of what we say good skills, so a very good lawyer, a barrister can completely overturn the truth. Now that is not wisdom, that is skills or talents. So if you use your a good barrister can always even make the truth as false and the false as truth. So we are not talking about that type of thing. We are talking about here in terms of the realization and understanding that can grow within oneself. So let's take maybe just some of the examples in your personal life. Are there times when you have been completely led by emotions? So sometimes when it is emotions, the pain is felt a bit in the heart. That's why when people cry, when certain things happen, the pain is felt in the heart. And when you think deeply, maybe the intellect or the education or all the knowledge that you have is to do with your thinking process. So we have here on one side emotions that we can get influenced by, and then we have here one side on the one side, and you can't see my camera, I'm using my two hands to show the balance. So where's the camera? There you go. So on one side, when we are sometimes carried away by emotions, that means you are pleasing, we forget about contemplating wisely on those things. So peer pressure can completely lead you to something else, and then when you get stuck, then you realize actually this was not what I should have done. And if you always use, in most cases, sometimes when you use your intellect and always thinking, sometimes we forget the emotion side. We become narrow-minded when we start thinking with complete logic all the time. So I think there should be a balance here. When you give too much emphasis on your emotion and get carried away by those emotions, you sometimes might make wrong decisions. So at that moment, we have to take a side and then use your brains. We say in loose terms, think. So use your brains. When you always use your brains as well, then when we always bring logic to certain scenarios, then we forget, we sometimes might be too harsh, and we forget the emotion side. We forget the gentleness. We forget the patience. We forget gratitude. So those values also need to be looked at from the emotion side, which actually makes someone gentle, someone kind. So if you bring intellect just for something to all situations, we sometimes can be very cold-blooded or cold-minded. Let's put it that way. We will use the logic to say. So if you want to give a homeless person, you want to help something, you might think, oh, this person has, if you use your brain and logic, oh, this person has good arms and legs and has good physique, why can't this person start doing some work? So we might not look at the situations behind, and then you will then not even give a pound that you could possibly give as a donation. But if you think deep inside, if you just use emotions, we might think, okay, you might even empty all your pocket and give everything that you have. So then there is no balance there. So we have to make a balance on that's way of looking at. In some cases, we have to listen to sometimes the emotions and nurture certain values. As I said earlier, kindness, compassion, because that is felt inside within ourselves. Generosity, kindness, compassion, gratitude, the acceptance of interdependence. So that is the humanitarian qualities that we are talking about in terms of the word emotion that I use. It's not a technical word as the thoughts that we're talking about, but deep inside it supports, there are good values that we need to cherish as well. A Bala would not look at that, will just might either go one side sometimes. Well, I'll just forget about this and become too selfish and too narrow-minded and too always using logic, which is okay, that's fine, but they might forget the other values. So impatience, intolerance, always influenced by greed, anger, delusion. So Bala would always use this to be influenced and then might just be selfishly driven towards the target. So I think there should be a balance in there. Because there is this sort of balance even in the spiritual side. So we talk about Saddha, then Sila, Sati, Chaga, Panya. If someone just is basing on Saddha as the first one, then there can be many practices that someone might be blindfoldedly doing. So we have to then use Panya, wisdom, which is at the other end to actually balance this. So you can take Saddha and Panya to balance it. So if someone is just on Saddha, there will be so many things that can ignorantly be done, and so many things that will ignorantly be accepted, not even put into practice. Ehi passiko, sandittiko. So there will be a person with Saddha will be in a position, if it's too much taken as blindfoldedly, everything will be taken. So that's why there's a religion without science is lame and that sort of saying, is because if you just take certain Saddha as one side, one polar, then there can be problems. So we have to have that mindfulness that is at the center and also use wisdom, Panya. If you just use Panya, which is what we need to end up in the end, but then we will forget about the other practices that support our day-to-day lives, maybe rituals, maybe that certain types of meditations. So when you just look at wisdom solely, then there can also be certain gaps in our spiritual practice. So therefore, Saddha, Sila, then in the middle is Sati, then Chaga, Panya. So mindfulness is that balance there. So when there are certain things you do, you use your brains as well, your wisdom as well, and when you just use your wisdom, then we forget about worship, chanting. So we need the balance of both in spiritual side as well, Saddha and Panya together. Yes, but the Dhamma is Panya, and Panyavantasya Gayam Dhammo, so the Dhamma will only be beneficial for the people that are wise. But you have to establish your faith first as well, so we need both. So not faith itself is not good enough. We need Panya as well. Panya itself is, to develop Panya, then we need faith as well. But in our day-to-day living, obviously we have to learn how to balance our emotions as well. So sometimes we have to be critical, but yet not being swayed by emotions. So a person who is a Bala here in this context is a person who is always sometimes persuaded by peer pressure, sometimes who is a person who is forgetful, or sometimes an ungrateful person, who is always daydreaming, who is always carried away by silly, simple things, in most cases even anger and greed, intolerant, resent. So a person who is always nurturing these values, thinking this is it, is a Bala. So with that foundational explanation, we will continue to explore this chapter on fools. What sort of fool is the Buddha talking about? And there are lots of verses that explain what a fool might do. So it is not necessarily, as I said, the lack of IQ or the mental capacity or the capacity of the brain. Bala here is about ignoring the values that is supportive for the spiritual journey as well. It is also a person who is completely deluded and would see certain things, right things as wrong and wrong things as right, because they're not using the wisdom to analyze and understand. So with that short, brief, foundational explanation on the Bala, we will close this Dhamma reflection. It is the foundation knowledge to develop so that we can continue to see what lies in the chapter ahead. So for a person who is, the last line of the Gat, the last two lines, is a person who is ignorant, the sansaric life will always be long. There is no realization of the truth, and hence the attainment of Nibbana is always distant and further. As much as a person who can't sleep will see the night as so long. A person who is so tired will see the mile as a very long journey, even a short mile. So let us try to understand the Dhamma with both faith and wisdom together. And when you have that both, we will be able to develop our sila, which is the virtue. Okay, we will develop mindfulness. So if you don't have faith in sila, faith in mindfulness, faith in release chaga, then you can't even develop wisdom as well. So we need to have all of this practice as a package. Okay, so a person who knows the Dhamma by practicing saddha or developing saddha and also developing wisdom will be a person who knows the Dhamma. So saddhamma janato, in the Gatha it says avijanato, one who does not know. But if you know this, then surely there is happiness, which I would say peace throughout. So peace of mind is always there. Okay, so now let us meditate. Okay, so put your body upright, balanced way. If you're resting, stay away from there and just keep your body upright. Don't rest your arms. So once you've adjusted yourself, your right hand on your left palm and eyes gently closed. So it is important to just be mindful of your posture, to slowly settle your mind down, observe the posture. And be grateful to yourself because you have looked after your body well enough to be good, not ill, so you're health-wise. And appreciate yourself being able to take care of your body. And looking at that stillness in the body, always realize and bring into your attention that it's not restless, it's not in motion, it's not expecting and looking for things, because you have let go on all your commitments or things you could do otherwise. So you have freed yourself from all the things and everything that you could possibly be doing. So you can relax As much as your body is relaxing, relax your mind as well. Don't start thinking of things, planning or regretting or working on things and those thoughts that come to your mind. Appreciate your family members if they are sitting with you now. Recognize that mutual support that you have, which is very important, and cherish that. Be thankful to them for not just sitting down with you, but also supporting you in this practice. If there are other members not participating, it's okay. No comments, don't comment, don't criticize. Just let go and be happy for them. And just be mindful of your surrounding as well. Peaceful, very quiet. So observing that stillness, that is because nothing is happening, which means if our mind is in that state, it is peaceful and quiet as well and still. When you say nothing is happening, that means no expectations, no conditions to get dissatisfied as well. That peace of mind is because of that stillness that you can develop. The development of the peace of mind is all because you can let go of all the thoughts. Your mind is not following your likes, and your mind is not bringing conditions when you think of things. Free yourself. That freedom brings happiness. Because wherever there is expectation and conditions, there can be a state of dissatisfaction which, dealt with more, brings frustration and irritation, and sometimes impatience. And when that develops into deep ill will and anger, then there is the thoughts of revenge. So free yourself from those, forgive everyone, and just observe that peace of mind that is there with you. The mind that is not thinking or seeking anything, simply peaceful. That is possible because you are kind to yourself. You are not allowing the mind to be distorted and the mind to be influenced by all your emotions. Be kind to yourself. Don't let those disturb your peace of mind. And develop that well-wishing attitude. So when you think that constantly, these lines become very helpful and very useful. So may I be well, happy and peaceful. May no harm come to me. May no problems come to me. May no difficulties come to me. May I always meet with success. May I also have the patience, courage and understanding to meet and overcome difficulties in life. May I be free from anger and jealousy. May I be free from frustration, anxiety and worries. May I be free from pain and suffering. So if you think like this every moment, you won't be doing things that hurt you, you won't be holding things that disturb you or develop impatience. And this well-wishing thought can be shared with everyone that you are associated with. So if they are not related, skip the stations. If they have passed away, for example, don't bring them to your thoughts. But others, simply bring their happy faces and happy moments to wish them well. May my parents, grandparents, teachers, uncles and aunts, in-laws, husband, wife or partner, children, grandchildren, brothers, sisters, cousins, nephews and nieces, friends and colleagues at work, neighbors, and people that you meet daily, neutral people that you share a smile, for example. May they all be well, happy and peaceful. May no harm come to them. May no problems come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May they always meet with success. May they also have the patience, courage and understanding to meet and overcome difficulties in life. May they be free from anger and jealousy. May they be free from frustration, anxiety and worries. May they be free from pain and suffering. So if you think like this every time, you will not do or say anything that would hurt someone, or even do something that allows someone to develop all those emotions. So your behavior, your attitude is always shadowed with kindness. May all living beings, including your pets, birds, animals and insects that come to your garden, Seen and unseen beings, including all sentient beings, be well, happy and peaceful. May no harm come to them. May no problems come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May they always meet with success. May they also have the patience, courage and understanding to meet and overcome difficulties in life. May they be free from pain and suffering. May I be well, happy and peaceful. May I be free from pain and suffering. So that brings to the close of our second session today. So every day we go live at 6:30, and today during this Friends Retreat, the event, the observances, Buddha Puja, chanting, Dhamma reflection and meditation was sponsored by Mr. Neil Virakon and Mrs. Neeta Gurusingha along with their children Shalika, Tarushi and Nilesh. The key intention is to bless Neeta Gurusingha, who is celebrating her birthday today. Many happy returns of the day from all of us from the online community here. May you be blessed by the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, and may all your righteous aspirations be fulfilled. Secondly, to bless their departed fathers. May both fathers be well, happy and peaceful wherever they are. May they rejoice in this punya karma and make their lives happy wherever they are. Eventually, may they attain the blissful state of Nibbana. And thirdly, to bless their living mothers in Sri Lanka. May they enjoy good health, happiness, success and prosperity. May they continue to enjoy good health and continue their services to the society and others. So may they be blessed by our pink karma. May they rejoice in the pink karma and also be blessed. So with those kind intentions, they sponsored the event today. So may all their righteous aspirations be fulfilled. With that we say sadhu 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So thank you for joining with us so far. In September, from September 1st, we go live at 7 o'clock till 8 o'clock. So with a shift of time, please be aware of that. We will continue with our Dhamma reflection until 24th of October when we hold our Katini robe offering ceremony. So if you want to sponsor one of the religious observances here at London Mindfulness Meditation Center, please do contact us, and we will then direct to relevant devotees who are organizing this, and especially with the events of Katina coming forward on the 24th October, you can also sponsor the regular offerings that we organize. So please bear that in mind as well. So thank you for joining with us today. Do join us again tomorrow at 6:30. So thank you. Stay safe. Have a very good night. Take care.